hat there.
Thank you, thank you.
Talking with Grenady, mentioning his teammate Massa, the training, the tactics that they both share, but also the same expectations that it's just going to be a deciding moment on the day. That is that strange? I guess maybe not to you, but to me, I'll put my own lens. That would be the only variable that he's considering in this group, and not saying, well, no, there's a little bit of a difference between me and some of the other drivers.
Yeah, there is, but what a storyline that is here between Grenady and Massa. Massa, always the player who's a bit slower than Grenady on paper. Everybody says that, but then Grenady came up yesterday, choked the finalists mode multiple times, and they both also had a similar story yesterday and also the day beforehand in port.
And knowing the pride from Massa, he's just not going to let it fly. He's definitely going to want to prove himself in this match that he's not second fiddle in this matchup. He wants to be better than Grenady, his teammate. They have love for each other. It's all fun and games, but now they are on their own. They're playing against each other. Yes, they both can go through, but they have Wizzy and Flimsy to contend with. Flimsy being the last hope for NCSA. He's not going to give up that easily.
Well, let's see what you guys think about who's going to go through. Make sure to get your pick'ems in, because that means if you scan this QR code, you can earn your share of $300,000 of prizing and have a chance to be a part of this narrative. If you get it right, well, some bragging rights in the chat, and also, again, maybe some cool prizing coming your way. As we have just a minute before we take the stage there, again, guys, I asked the question, is there a noticeable edge coming into it? Massa, you said the ego, or maybe just the pride coming in wanting to take that second or that first place away from Grenady. But where is the edge in this matchup?
I do think the edge actually does go to the big bros. I think they have the edge coming into this. They have the skill to be able to complete it. But maybe perhaps there's a different option that I'm not considering.
Wizzy is, for me here, the third option. I think it will be so close. I think it will be a double final situation in the end between Wizzy plus one of the big members, because he played such a good match yesterday as well. And also on the day beforehand, he was showing great pace, but he's just not quite there yet. But it will still be exciting to see. Flimsy, on the other hand, I don't think he can really match that pace.
That'll be exciting if Flimsy pulls off a couple of early rounds in this matchup that start to make everybody sweat. It's going to be two well-known Trackmania players in Massa and Grenady. Wizzy trying to jump into that P1 or P2, and Flimsy seeing if he can pull off the unthinkable. Let's send it over your stage and get it started.
Thank you. Yes, a big thank you to the command center there. What a way to kickstart this last chance qualifier day. Amazing scenes there, but it was a tale of two pities, losing two players there at the end. Nako Soldier out of the competition, keys crushed, but for our victors, through to the final day, where they get a chance to potentially place their key into the totem, become Trackmania champion at EWC. Milos, I mean, this competition is better every single moment.
Absolutely. So, and there's always the bitter sweetness. You heard it from Brendan also in the interview, where, you know what, it sucks that I have to crush these keys, but the end of it, that is part of how competition in esports is in general. There always has to be a victor at the end of the day. But our second matchup of the day is about to begin. So join me in welcoming our next four. What a set on stage. Grenady, Wizzy, Flimsy, and Massa.
To wheel or not to wheel? That is the question. What it comes down to here is making sure you place yourselves in that final day. Will the wheelmen be able to do it and take it for the team, or will it be more conventional? We're about to find out right here, right now, what goes down as we enter into our second series of the day and find out who will ascend to the last Super Saturday. Back to the desk. Let's get this thing started.
Thank you so much, Adam and Milos. To wheel or not to wheel? I feel like that was maybe a little bit of Hamlet Jr. We got Carl Jr., Hamlet Jr. there. Oh. I don't know. Either way, it's going to be theatrics on the stage. That's for sure. And that's where it belongs. Wizzy, can he step into that spot to take away either Massa or Grenady going in? And what will Flimsy show us? Those are the major questions I have going into this one.
For that, he needs poetic driving to make it across, that is for sure. But I think he can make it happen. I mean, he has shown insane pace yesterday, and if he just works on just minimizing the mistakes, well, he's good to go.
Yeah, I think anything is possible in this matchup. Maybe not so much for the first place. I really do think that Grenady is going to slot himself into that. I think him losing yesterday was kind of a fluke. It was a very tough matchup, and so he is expected to go through on this. As we go through the pick and bans, we'll wait a little bit before we dive into that. But honestly, looking at Whimsy, he's the person I'm also going to be looking for as well, because again, he's very self-critical, but he showed an amazing pace yesterday. He had amazing time. And honestly, if he continues that into today, he could be really successful.
One of the positive notes here for me as well, Flimsy, that is for sure. Speaking of him, the first ban is Norway. Wizzy decides to ban Japan. Massa bans Hungary. And then Gennady with the last ban of this match is South Korea. Poland is map number 1. Then we have Germany, and Argentina is now map number 3. Now we have 2 more maps that will be in the pack.
Yeah, where is Saudi Arabia is the question here, and there it is. It's at the decider. Saudi Arabia actually being the most picked map of this tournament so far, being the popular one. Everybody feels pretty comfortable on it.
And it may end up being a problem if you don't get out to a position to go into finalist mode for Saudi Arabia. It might be hard to catch up and earn some points back from those already in the lead, which means that Canada, Argentina could be some of those swing maps that start to show whether it will be the wheels who advance or if it will be somewhere else. Poetry on the Lenovo Legion Gauntlet. I'm down for that. I know 2 casters who are ready for it as well. Of course, it's the main men themselves, Onset and Bravo.
Thank you very much, Rain. Thank you very much, everyone. And here we go then into our next matchup at the day here at EWC 26. We are trying to survive. We are making some big decisions on who is going group we have of drivers in front of us. You have a few different pairs.
Here, of course, the big teammates up against one another here. They will want to make it a all big clan finish. And of course, let's not forget as well, 2 wheel drivers in this lobby. However, they are not teammates. You saw the wheel diff sign, but you have to wonder, Grenady or Wizzy, can they both make it through? Could it be an all-wheel advancement in Decider number 2?
It's interesting too, as we see the first race getting underway here on Poland, and just take a second to kind of bigger picture this, because we were looking at the picks and bans, and we're very, very interested in what we saw. We have seen a lot of the likes of Hungary, South Korea, Japan, in some of the races that we've seen so far, and in some of the matchups that we've seen, but all banned out very early, respectively. And the map set we have is fascinating with some big challenges in big moments for the drivers.
Really is a little bit of wobbles there, actually, from everyone out in the front 3, through the lily pads, through the water, and then even to these jumps. However, it remains Grenady, Massa, and Wizzy as the first 3.
Grenady is out in front of here, and it looks like the German will be able to take the first 10 points of the matchup here, and manages to do so with a 109. Solid time from him, not the quickest in the world. It'll be Flimsy who does get the 3 points and manages to finish at the end, but it is the 2 Germans who lead the way. Grenady, who had a very, very heartbreaking moment yesterday on finalists for so long, but just could not get over the line. But he's experienced enough to know that those kind of mistakes can only be made once in a tournament.
Absolutely, and you feel like with Grenady, the legacy that he has, even the weight of this tournament will be felt like a player like him. It feels like already such a legend of the game, but what would it mean for his legacy to not only be in your Super Saturday, to be in your final group, but even maybe to take the tournament? It would change the story around his entire career, which is saying something given what he's already accomplished. He's out in front now.
Well, Wizzy, the POV we're on right now, he's nestled in 3rd place at the moment, but certainly hot on the tires of both Grenady and Massa, who are in front of him. Flimsy at the back of the pack for now, as everyone comes through the jump cleanly. But for Wizzy, yesterday was a very interesting day as well. Think about how many opportunities he squandered when there was 10 points on the line that very quickly turned into 3 with a crash in a vital, vital moment. How things could have been different for him.
It does feel like what an opportunity for him in this group right now. Still in 3rd place. It looks very, very similar to our first round around. Now Grenady will still be out in front. It's an easy finish for him. It will once again be a Grenady, Massa, Wizzy, top 3. Flimsy bringing in. He should have plenty of time here as we take a look as well. Grenady on the 1:08.968 in the end.
Yeah, very, very quick times coming in from Grenady as well. He certainly seems to have settled onto the stage beautifully well this morning after the first 2 rounds on Poland. 20 points in the bank for the German. Massa in behind him, having to settle for 2nd place both times around. And
I tell you what, selling for second place today, not a bad thing. Yesterday, it felt like he had no choice but to settle for anything outside of the top two, as he had either the best seat or the worst seat, depending on what angle you want to come at it, from that insane matchup that involved Carl Jr. and the young phenom in Neil.
Yeah, you might have seen Moss's tweet, actually, that just came out yesterday. He even said, "What the hell just happened? They didn't let me into the game at all."
It was very similar, to be honest.
Even Carl on the stage saying that kid is a little demon. However, Moss's key words in that tweet, you might have seen it. He said, "I'll reset and I will come back stronger tomorrow." This, of course, is his opportunity.
Well, it's Wizzy who's out in the lead in this third round as we get the cars a little bit more submerged here and jump out of the dirt towards the final turn. Into the first jump of the identity. It's going to be Massa who's just taking first place away from Wizzy. Look at the speed coming in for Grenady as well. He really is trying to push Wizzy, who is wobbling.
Oh, no.
He's not looking secure here, and Grenady will steal away second place from the British. Massa, who will take the 10 points away in first place. Flimsy does get the finish, but it's the two Germans who have come out so strong at the start here.
Also on a 109.025 there, not too shy from the Gwen records that you see at the top left, but it's an important win there for Massa because he keeps now everything within 4 points. It's Grenady on 26 and Massa on 22.
For Wizzy, one of those opportunities that just slips through the fingers. He's going to have to just focus up and make sure that not too many of those cost him, because that has been the story, unfortunately, for him so far, as Flimsy will tap those tires on the wall, and that's going to slow him right down. It's Wizzy and Grenady to go through the checkpoint here, is separated by barely a tenth of a second.
This would be very big for Wizzy here. He's all the way down in 12 points right now. And on your fourth lap around Poland, coming out of the first map, Wizzy wants to make sure he can get some points and some confidence on the board.
As he makes the jump, Grenady has a little bit more speed on the downhill, though. And he's certainly going to be challenging him, and he's closed that gap. As we see our drivers just tiptoeing across the lily pads into this right-hander through the wet.
Catching up.
And now Grenady is level with him. He is 1/100th of a second separating the two, but Wizzy with a little bit more speed on the exit here, but the line from Grenady is going to challenge him.
Yeah, look at this. The cuts are very good from both drivers. Wizzy out in front, Grenady trying to push, but Wizzy will maintain. It's a very important control from Wizzy, as he will get all of the points on the board. A +10 for him on a 109.238, and that will do it for Poland. But most importantly, for the top of the table, that will now put Grenady on 32, Massa on 26, and just like that, Wizzy is part of the conversation in a big way. He only trails Massa by 4 at 22.
Yeah, very important that. And I think just in the context of, we talk about the mental game of Trackmania, is something that you're always going to keep talking about and hearing. Wizzy in the previous round let a point slip, let Grenady get that final jump on him, and managed to close that gap and take the points away. Didn't happen in that final round there. Managed to keep his composure, managed to hold off the challenge. And the difference there is the additional points, which leaves us very close. Massa and Wizzy separated by 4 points, but it's Grenady at the top, like you say, on 32.
I think a lot of things are expected where we came from as you talk about the desk, right? Thinking Wizzy is going to be the one to push at least one of the big members, and so far he certainly is as well. Now they're underway, 4 laps of Germany ahead of us.
Grenady very good at Germany as well. Look at this line from him, going very wide off the exit to carry the speed through here as we jump onto the sausage road. Now sweeping right-hander coming up through the triangle of the checkpoint before we approach the first obstacle here, the jump from the quarter pipe, before we see these cars turn around and face the other direction.
Very clean there from Grenady. Let's see just how low he's able to land as well. That will really determine who's able to come out in front. And to be honest, Massa has a very good line as well.
Yeah, very good speed, running close to those flagpoles as well. And Massa, as we go through the checkpoint, will take the lead away from his teammate Grenady. Everyone pretty close at the moment. Wizzy's only 10th or so behind, still very much in contention, but it is Massa who is controlling this race at the moment. Grenady is right behind him here.
They're trying to make up this time here as Grenady is going to hit an even tighter line. Massa will actually hit on the right side.
Wizzy now challenging Grenady. And Wizzy turning the pressure around that we saw a couple of rounds ago onto the German. Can the German hold off the challenge? The turnaround from Wizzy is good. The speed on the exit, though, for Grenady just about keeps him in the lead and puts those 10 points on the board. Massa falls all the way down to the final place in there in 4th, only gets the 3 points, having led for so much of that.
Wizzy only trailing by 300ths there. So as a result, Wizzy now only down in 3rd by 1 point. Massa only up by 1. It's 29-28. Grenady will extend the point lead by just a bit, but the Wizzy Massa story continues to develop 1 lap at a time.
Grenadi just falling behind in the start of this one, but all the drivers essentially wheel to wheel. First jump, everybody. We're going to come through unscathed. Masa's going to land well again. Wizzy's going to have a little bit more speed. It looks like he's catching him up on the turnaround on the ice here. Goes a little bit wider, but dips back in to try and challenge that line from Masa. But Masa, the German, holding off the brick for now.
You can tell that Masa knows he cannot afford himself too many mistakes. Look at how close it is here between Masa and Wizzy. Masa knows he's not going to get too many more like that where he can let a lead slip and tap on the right side. He makes it through clean this time.
Just opened up a little bit of a gap, though. It was about 600s it went to. Over a tenth of a second between the two, but now look at the speed on the exit, on the downhill from Wizzy, challenging once again. As he goes for that inside line, the turnaround is going to be there, but Masa once again will hold off the challenge for Wizzy. Oh, will he? No, he won't. Wizzy takes it on the line. A fist bump from the Brit as well. That's going to be 10 points for him.
By six thousandths of a second. Wizzy at the very last second mark. You made such a great point. Wizzy is taking a slightly different line on the turnaround there, cutting it just a little bit shorter. And in the first iteration, and the second on Germany, it didn't pay, excuse me, on the first iteration of Germany, it didn't pay off. On the second round, it did, and he gets across within 6 thousandths. And as a result, that will now move Wizzy into second place with 38 points.
Let's talk about the consistency of the drivers here on Germany as well. I mean, barely any crashes, any big mistakes. It has come down to lines and execution. So far, separating all of the drivers that we have seen. Masa gets a little bit too close to those poles for anyone's liking. It's going to be Grenadi in the front of the pack with Wizzy behind, but not the greatest exits there from Wizzy. Means that Flimsy now and Masa are starting to close on him. Grenadi is clear out in front.
Masa had to correct so much there, a big release, but somehow he's made up a ton of time in this section here. He might even now be challenging for second. Grenadi's the first up, and he's got a clear lead.
Grenadi almost half a second ahead at the moment. As we go through the checkpoint, going to be cut down ever so slightly by Masa. Could be Grenadi just taking his foot off the accelerator a little bit here, knowing he has that gap, as Grenadi will put the 10 points on the board. Masa has to hold off a late challenge from Flimsy and Wizzy. This time around, after the 10 points in the previous round, has to settle for just 3.
Yeah, Grenadi there on a 1:11.213. So while quick, not challenging that pack record that you do see there, it's Grenadi on 56. Wizzy and Masa tied on 41. This will be your final round on Germany. Of course, only one of those two will be in second place following this round.
Grenadi into the lead again. Wizzy just trailing behind by about 0.3 of a second here as we turn left and rock our way down to the first transition through the Lenovo Legion. Oh, no, Flimsy, unfortunately, the POV you didn't want to be on at that point, as Wizzy now takes over Masa, who's falling a little bit behind there. Another mistake coming in from the German, and it's a Grenadi Wizzy shootout to see who's going to take the final 10 points here on Germany.
Over 1.3 seconds behind is Masa right now, and as you said, it'll just be Wizzy with a lot of space now. We'll try to catch Grenadi, but you can bet that if he's toggled on to see exactly where Masa is, he might just try to run a clean race from here.
Think about the speed that Wizzy has had on this exit and the challenge that he's put towards the finish line. But Grenadi still has that lead. And as we go through a horrible mistake from Grenadi, he will put the 10 points on the board. Wizzy will settle for second. Masa in third. But what it does mean, as Flimsy goes across the line here, is that going into our next round, where we changed maps and we change things up and head over to Argentina, it will be Wizzy who is holding down that second place.
He really is, and how things can change after the first map. And I think we all felt it. I think everyone watching, everyone in the room, and you and I, that last lap specifically on Poland was going to be a big one. And what happened? Wizzy takes the race on Poland. He's able to get a ton of points on the board, and he was only trailing by just a bit. This would be such a different story if Wizzy hadn't gotten all those points and that momentum boost. And as you say, it's Grenadi out in 66, but it's now Wizzy in second place with 47, now leading Masa, who's on 45.
We were talking a little bit yesterday, kind of the hangover of a mistake. You go into that next round, you're thinking about it for the first few seconds, and we saw some early mistakes from drivers where you wouldn't expect them to be. You know, we saw Pac doing it yesterday, which blew my mind to see some very, very early mistakes from him, having made a major mistake that cost him on the previous round. I think you're quite right to talk about that Wizzy moment. If he does not come out with that win and hold off the challenge on Poland, maybe Germany doesn't look as clean for him, but he made that decision, he made that execution on the final moments to hold it off, and then looked much more comfortable in that second round.
Now into Argentina then, one of the least banned maps of the summer set, and that might surprise a lot of viewers due to just the difficulty and the type of amount of elements that challenge these drivers. However, you could just tell the best drivers in the world, they are comfortable on a map like this, the true mixed style of the map. We've seen it time and time again. It'll be included in this map set as well, and right now it's Grenadier out in front.
Wizzy's right on his back though, and this is the difference maker here. This turnaround, how close do you want to run it to? The checkpoint on Wizzy. Look at the speed that he exits with, taking first place away from Grenadier. A beautiful turnaround from him. Massa watching the action go down in third place in front of him at the moment as we transfer back to the ice and the car sideways for the slide.
Was he out in front by just a bit here? Now Grenadier though making up a lot of time. He snaps on the dirt. They both take a very similar line. Here they go in the 1-2 spot.
Almost side by side. Grenadier takes first place away though from Wizzy. In the final moments here, how aggressive can Wizzy be in this final bobsleigh? Not aggressive enough. Have to settle for second, but again, ahead of Massa, most importantly, keeping hold of second place. But the lead now is extending at the top of those leaderboards for Grenadier, looking very, very comfortable.
Yeah, and in the second, third race, that'll be back-to-back rounds where Wizzy does outplace Massa. Of course, only by just a small margin. It's just back-to-back second and thirds, respectively, meaning he has that 4-point gap now.
You're starting to see a lot of people are talking about when you look at how important the first places are. You know, Wizzy's outplaced Massa numerous times in the last 3 or 4 races, but it's not created the gap that he would have wanted. It's been Grenadier who's been taking those 10 points, 10 points, 10 points, meaning everyone else is having to fight for the scraps and not being able to differentiate themselves. As now we turn right here before we transfer to the nose steer into the bobsleigh. This is where Wizzy made some time up, and he's going to have to here with Massa and Grenadier in front of him.
Let's see how clean everyone is. A little bit deep from Wizzy. He loses a tiny bit of time there. He's going to have to hope that he can make it up here, but it's going to be Grenadier just behind Massa out in front. Oh, and Grenadier swings in. It's a nice move.
Well, Massa takes first place away a little bit wide. There from Grenadier, dips down into the ice, and look at the speed. Look at the slide. That's why he went that low. And Massa now, having felt that pressure, has conceded second place to Wizzy.
What a line from Grenadier. Swings it so low, brings it right back into the dirt, and God, does he ever look clean through the bobsleigh as well. It will be Grenadier.
No! Oh, Wizzy throws away the 6 points and has to settle for 4. We've all been there, folks. We've all been there. You think Argentina is done, the run is clean, and you clip that final gate.
And I tell you what, it's been rare at this tournament, and unsurprisingly at this level, that has been a rare clip. Everyone's been so clean through, and it honestly, if you haven't played this map, they're making that final bobsleigh look very, very easy. It is a rare clip, as you say, and that will actually bring the race Wizzy and Massa back within 2. Massa is now only trailing by 2 as a result of that last round.
Grenadier out in front once again here. Ooh, a little touch from Flimsy is going to see Massa flying past him. Into the turnaround now on the bobsleigh. Wizzy and Grenadier wheel to wheel. Massa just about sends the tail of the car into that checkpoint. It's a little bit of a heart-in-mouth moment every time you're turning there. We've seen some mistakes earlier on with players just not managing to connect. We've seen the players kind of nerves of steel, how close they want to run it. But Massa at the moment having to watch the Wizzy and Grenadier fight once more.
Really nice line from Massa, but as you say, trailing by quite a margin here, and Grenadier and Wizzy right next to one another into the final stretch.
It's Malayik's just watching the two dancing with each other, but it's Grenadier who's leading the dance and leading the race. It's a PB for him, Wizzy, with the PB himself. Very, very quick times coming in from both. But it's Grenadier again extending that lead, but Wizzy 2 points ahead of Massa now. I think the frustration maybe for Wizzy is getting a lot of second places, but Flimsy's not really putting pressure onto Massa taking points away.
That's right. Also, as you say, really good time there. Grenadier's only about 2/10 away. It's a very, very early touch from Massa.
We saw him lean back as well as a sharp intake of breath. Can't believe it. And once again, that's what we're talking about, early concentration, thinking about the previous round. It's gone, it's history, it's done. Have to be so skilled to put that out the back of your mind before you go into that next round, as Flimsy now might put a bit of pressure onto Massa on those leaderboards with third place in his hands. Wizzy and Grenadi out in front again. Very, very similar to what we've seen every round of Argentina. As we go into the turnaround, Wizzy with a beautiful, beautiful turn in the bobsleigh and will take first place away.
Oh, one of the shortest turns that we have seen. Let's see what he can do. He's really clean here. Through the dirt as well, and will lead into the ice slide.
It's a massive opportunity with Massa. 6 seconds off the pace, completely out of the race here for Wizzy to put the 10 points on the board, but that low line again from Grenadi. The speed from the German into the bobsleigh might be about to help his teammate out, but look at the push down from Wizzy. Wizzy trying to push it through the bobsleigh. Can he connect this time? Yes, he does. A brilliant bobsleigh from Wizzy holds off Grenadi's late assault, and Massa will have to take the 3 points, but what a final battle that was in the bobsleigh between Grenadi and Wizzy.
And we knew, Mark, it was going to come down to moments like this. How heartbreaking was it to watch some of Wizzy's earlier rounds where he was leading time after time but not able to close it out? And that feels like maybe a changing of the guard or a shifting of the tides at the very least. Wizzy, with the pressure from the back, on a stage like this, with a prize pool like this, is able to hold on to first place. That was a 1:12.402, running a very fast Argentina once again. That will set us up now for Canada. In the points, it's Grenadi on 102. Wizzy, as a result of that win on 73, now leading Massa by 11, who's on 62.
So we keep the thermals on. Not much of a change in atmosphere as we head from Argentina over to Canada. The snow, the speed, and the slaloms going to be the features for everybody to enjoy here. And for Massa, I think a welcome change of scenery as well. Really seemed to struggle in Argentina. Did not look like the driver we've seen so far in the tournament.
And as we said earlier, Massa wants to make sure that if things continue, this is an all big clan advancement. But Wizzy, who's gaining ground, wants to actually make this an all wheel input advancement here. He's now pushing Massa into the no break.
Into the no break, into the slalom. Massa with more speed through, and Wizzy having to just take his finger off the accelerator for a second there, and it allows Grenadi and Flimsy through as we transfer back onto the dirt for the next slalom that comes up for these drivers.
We're going to keep an eye on that no break for sure. Wizzy watches the entire pack advance ahead of him. We'll have to see if he can make up the time here. We're getting ready for the identity here.
Yeah, Massa, look at the turnaround. Look at the change in fortunes for the German at the front of the pack now that we've moved over to Canada. Big turnaround coming in from everyone. Grenadi going to go a little bit wide here. Flimsy and Wizzy with a little bit more speed. Wizzy! Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
It felt like he was going to steal away second place, but ends up having to settle for fourth. It's Massa, though, at the top, who gets the 10 points.
And for good reason. That was a .329 versus a .331. It was absolutely down to the wire. That's Grenadi on 108. Wizzy on 76, and Massa closing that gap a little bit here. He's on 72. It's just a 4-point battle between second and third.
Some incredible racing we're seeing already today. And a reminder, this is elimination. Bottom two in this decider match will go out of the tournament as Wizzy makes a mistake, clips that barrier on the sausage slalom. That's going to send him right to the back of the pack by almost a second.
Grenadi has looked so good through that section yet again onto the dirt. You can expect him to be very clean through here, hitting the perfect amount of taps on the steering that he needs to navigate the dirt and maintain a significant lead. It's Flimsy in second at the moment.
Don't forget about Flimsy in all this. Even though Massa is challenging here before this left-hander, before the final turnaround in the identity, Flimsy, this is his pick. This is where he felt confident. This is where he felt like he could start to challenge with his times. And with Grenadi in front of him, Flimsy is about to take second place away. And if you're Wizzy, great news. Only 1 point the difference in the final standings when you're finishing over a second behind Massa. You'll take that every day.
Wizzy became the biggest Flimsy. I think he took out a USA flag for a second, which was wild to see, as he's a big fan of Flimsy, as you say, taking a few points off of Massa. But how long can that last? It's Wizzy on 79. It's Massa on 76.
Grenadi seems to be a boss in this full speed section at the start, though. Every single time we go into the sausage slalom, he's just leading the way. But Wizzy this time around does not make the mistake and carries that speed through.
Look at the consistency. Look at this pack of cars. The consistency here. Let's see if anyone's able to make up a little bit of extra ground through the no break. No, they essentially stay in the same formation and will once again be Grenadi leading into the dirt.
Wizzy went ever so slightly wide though, and it's just allowed Grenadi to get back into it and then just slides out on the dirt, sending him to the back of the pack. That's the pressure. By seeing all of those ghosts, seeing so many cars in the times around you, you know you have to keep pushing. And that one mistake can just cost you those points and see you slip to the back of the pack.
Flimsy in second yet again. We're seeing two cars go backwards here. They all should make it across. It's Grenadi, Flimsy, Massa. Down to the hundredths for both second and third, a 102.322.
It's Flimsy again, though. Gets second place and keeps it very interesting. Starting to just claw away ever so slightly. Still a long way back from Wizzy and Massa. But for Wizzy, these fourth places, they're not hurting him too much at the moment because Massa is not able to get the 10s, the 6s, due to the performance that's coming in from Flimsy.
Yeah, Massa's slowly clawing them away, but as you say, with Flimsy taking big handfuls of points each time, there's not so much for Massa to grab, just a little bit of leftovers, but it has allowed him to not only claw back, but also keep things so respectable. At this level, you're essentially tied here right around the 82 and 80 mark.
Wizzy just
Grenadi just zooms.
Wizzy's struggling for speed through that section. You can really notice it in comparison to some of the other drivers. You know, he's losing tenths of seconds every single time and now drops back into third from leading the pack. Flimsy in second once again. Wizzy does manage to regain third though, but it's Grenadi in front again. If he takes the 10 points this time around, all he has to do is finish in our next round and he will be on finalist mode.
Wizzy now in third for the first time in several.
That is a send from Massa.
First time in several rounds. However, take a look at this from Massa out of nowhere. It's a big result to close things out here on Canada. 502, but most importantly, it's a +10 for him over Grenadi.
I mean, that was just ridiculous. And everybody just sent it into that final turn. And you can see Massa was car left, car right, car left, car right. And he was like, okay, I'll just go straight through the middle of everyone and claim those 10 points. A fantastic and carnage-filled end to Canada as now we go over to racetrack number 5. We're heading off to Saudi Arabia.
How fitting now. Grenadi, by the way, only 6 points away from finalist mode. He has quietly just gone about his business. And as you heard in the pregame interview with Rachel, that was his plan here. He was confident in his ability. Obviously, now the eyes go to the second and third place race. It's Massa, by the way, who has now retaken the lead. So what a story between these two. It's been back and forth tug of war. After map number 1, it was Massa by a hair. After map 2, it was Wizzy by a hair in the points race. And after that round, Massa and the win specifically has retaken second place on 90 points.
I love the fact we're on Saudi Arabia as well. Think about some of the obstacles you have to overcome and that tiny gap that is waiting for you in the final jump. That is so tough. This is going to be decided by nerves of steel. Who wants to try to hold to get those wheels down, to thread that needle and really maintain their speed before that final jump into the finish line? We are going to see some of the most dramatic ends here on Saudi Arabia. You have to wonder if Grenadi is going to be able to get through onto finalist mode. And then this time around, if he's going to be able
to convert. Flimsy in the back there, he will touch, but as we said, it will really not impact the points race up front with the big three. They will continue to lead here. Let's go ahead and see exactly how they navigate this. Looks like no tap of the air brake necessary for any one of your front three. They go around these big and forth left and right-handers into penalties and touches.
Being so aggressive here. Massa this time with the big line goes out wide. Grenadi with a little bit of a change up on the line that we saw from yesterday from him. But look at the speed from Wizzy. Really all of a sudden starting to challenge. It's 3 drivers side by side. Massa as we go into the tiny gap jump who has the lead. Grenadi doesn't make it. All the big points have fallen apart and Wizzy will take home 10.
And Wizzy just going about his business now, running his race, and it's Massa and Grenadi both who clip. And I got to say, Mark, you called it. The tiny gap, the final jump, the final identity on Saudi Arabia. Will it claim victims? The answer is a very early An undoubtful yes, Wizzy with some big points on the board. He will tie it up again once now with Masa on 96.
Let me tell you, it's called a tiny gap for a reason, not just because of historic events in Trackmania when it comes to naming of tracks, but it almost feels like as the rounds go past and the pressure goes up, it becomes a tinier and tinier gap for these players. It just seems almost impossible at times to thread the needle when the pressure is really on in those big moments. For now, though, Grenady has to put that behind him and has done so already by taking the lead as we go through the ice segment up into the skies. No tap on the brakes for him, lands it clean.
And as we said, Grenady tapping there also means he had to wait just an extra round for finalists as well. Now, we certainly assume after the events of this race, Grenady, as you say, by the way, running that different line as we get into a little bit of penalty rocks. Let's see if everyone can run it clean. And then a very tight right-hander. Flimsy trying to push Grenady. Grenady now looking for finalist mode here.
Well, yeah, Wizzy just didn't have the speed. You saw he had to reset there, go back to the checkpoints and try that one again. Grenady will get the 10 points and will hit finalist mode here. Masa with the big 6 points as well. As the countdown begins, Wizzy will just about finish and get the 3 points on the board himself. The story now is about Grenady. Finalist mode activated. Can he close out in one?
And you can just tell by the points table. Look at this. His next closest is Masa on 102. It's a massive points gap, leading by 46. He has been so consistent today. And you can suspect that he expects that he'll be closing this one out pretty quick. All it takes, of course, from him is just the win to advance on.
Everybody coming through the first jump unscathed at this point. Everybody coming through the second unscathed. Onto the ice now as the wheels and the tires will connect. Grenady out in the lead. The German looking to close out finalists in one here, but Wizzy has some other ideas. That aggressive line again for the Brit is going to put Grenady under pressure here.
Grenady no longer, as we said, on the big line, no longer taking that wide line, and has paid off for him quite a bit. Masa trying to push as well. Grenady with a sizable lead into the identity.
As he goes a little bit wide. Grenady, though, it's your story. He threads the needle. The German has done it. Grenady, just about holds off the challenge. A shake of the head and a look to the heavens. But Grenady, I can confirm the tournament is still alive for you. Qualification secured.
2/100ths of a final effort and a final yeet of the car off of the boost. Almost steals it from him, and what a POV to watch it from. You just saw tires coming in over the left and right side as Masa and Wizzy both wanted to deny, but Grenady holds on by 2/100ths.
You've never seen so many emotions in such a short time from Grenady. Initially, it was a slight lean back. Then it was a lean forward as the whites of the eyes got wider and wider. Saw two cars appearing out of nowhere. But it was enough, and that's all we'll care about at this point. A dominant performance from Grenady, but now we have to turn our attention to the second qualifier, and Masa and Wizzy are wheel to wheel as we jump through the islands.
And it really feels fitting that we now just get to focus on these two who have already been battling it out. Masa staying on the wide line, and then also the little bit of extra airtime, but it pays off for him here. Let's see how they both look through the rocks. All three cars wheels down pretty quick, but it's Masa still out in front.
Yeah, Wizzy being very aggressive on his line into the tiny gap jump. Both players come through clean, though. Wizzy will have to settle in behind Masa, who'll take the 10 points away. And when it is still so close up to this point, being removed from the lobby as 10 points becoming available between Masa and his opponent that he's been going up so toughly against in Wizzy. That's going to be a big difference maker now. Second and third, that's different. 6 and 4. 10 and 6 is a huge, huge difference.
Massive, massive difference. And like I started to say before we wrapped up that race, it just feels fitting. Remember, Grenady was on finalist mode for several rounds yesterday, and I think he looked just maybe a bit shaken, just a lack of confidence and consistency. He's really cleaned that up today. He will advance right away. And now we just get to see, without the clutter of an existing finalist, versus Wizzy. Masa on 116, Wizzy on 111. 5 points only separating the two.
Flimsy still in the race as well. Still will have something to say about it when it comes to where these points are going to be distributed. But the pace when it comes to totals down on 69. Wizzy on 111. Masa 116. Back to Poland we go. Flimsy won't have much to say in this race.
Tries to take that right-hander very early, and You could just tell kind of the eagerness to run quick lines there. It's easy to run that right-hander a little bit too early. You need to be patient. You need to be wide with it. But as a result, it will just be Wizzy and Masa out in front.
Take ourselves back to what happened on Poland previously as well. Some big moments in that for Wizzy, confidence-building moments, holding off the challenge of Grenade in those first and second place battles into the identity. And look at the speed that Wizzy has managed to find so far on this round. He is absolutely streaking away from Masa.
Yeah. I can jump through the lily pads. We'll see if they're both playing through here. Let's not forget, this was trouble earlier today for some of the best drivers to even play the game, but it's Wizzy still way out in front into the identity.
Yeah, no mistakes for Wizzy, and he will take home the 10 points. For Flimsy, we said he's going to have something to say about it. Yeah, he made an early mistake, but Masa made a couple of mistakes, and that's going to really, really hurt him. And Masa has to worry about DNF right now. He's about 7.5 seconds behind. The finisher should be able to just about get over the line and does at least secure the 4 points. So Wizzy with the +10 kind of answers back from what we saw previously.
That will now put him up by 1. It's another changing of the lead. It has been so back and forth between these two. It's Wizzy on 121, Masa on 120. And we'll see. I mean, keep in mind, if either of them were to win back-to-back, it would mean finalist mode going into Germany.
No touches on that outside dirt line. Everybody running it as close as they can, have no other option. Remember, elimination on the line. Tournaments will be over at the end of this matchup between these players. And it's Masa and Wizzy, almost wheel for wheel, going into the dirt here through the slalom before this first jump.
Let's see if they can both be just as clean as that first one. Keeping an eye on where they land. We'll lose Flimsy, but all eyes now on the 1-2 race, as it should
no,
be.
Wizzy! It's Masa's now to take. 10 points is beckoning him. Through the dirt, no pressure on his back whatsoever. Wizzy at least has managed to hold on to second place in this race, but for Masa is a serene finish as you could ask for at this level. 10 points, the German response.
And what a response it was. And you feel like for Wizzy, he gives away a free 10 points. It's one thing to allow someone to win when they're on 120. It's completely different in what could be not only the go-ahead round, but maybe the second to last round coming up here. You cannot be giving away free 10-point wins. He needs to respond here, Wizzy.
And he needs to win this race, I feel, because now we go over to Germany as the next race, and that is a Masa pick. That is what he wanted to play, and Wizzy didn't have the best of performances comparatively to the rest of the tracks that we did have in front of us. Argentina comes up after that, but you feel we won't get there with the pace that these two players are on when it comes to collecting those points. So a very important round for the tournament life here of Wizzy. Out in the lead is how you needed to start, and Masa is waiting for mistakes in front of him.
That's exactly what he's doing. Just sitting back here, hoping to pick up some scraps. Good acceleration for both of them here through lily pads. Wizzy knows he has to deny here. He has to deny, not just for the points, but also to deny finalist mode.
Wizzy needs to take a deep breath here, just settle the heart rate as we go into the identity. Masa is going to have to push it here. He knows that he's got nothing to lose at this point. Wizzy comes through clean for now. Sticks the landing on the jump as well, and Wizzy with a huge, huge 10 points in the context of this battle between the two. Masa in behind the 6, Flimsy comes in to collect the 4 points at the end, but this battle between these two is absolutely back and forth, blow for blow.
Poland, round 4, here we go. Wizzy, 137, Masa, 136. We can almost guarantee double finalists here, barring a DNF disaster. We should see dual finalists heading into Germany.
Just an incredible set of rounds that we've seen so far and matchups between these players, and these two in particular. Grenade, you felt like a class apart. That these two have put the entertainment at the forefront of these races and rounds, and Wizzy disappears into the distance. Mistakes coming in from Masa. He's over half a second behind now.
And Wizzy's going to know through the dirt chicane, just needs to play these platforms. To be honest, both of them just need to hit these platforms. There's nothing to be gained from somehow, imagine right here as well, if you were to, in the water, make a mistake. DNF risk, of course, right around this specific area if you're not catching easy fourth gear back into this, but they will be clean through it, and we should see double finalists here mode.
It almost feels like a foregone conclusion now, like you're saying, barring an absolute catastrophe for any of these drivers. Wizzy will take the 10. Flimsy will be second, but Massa with the third will secure finalist as well. It is double finalists at the end of Poland, and Germany will be the showdown track between the two.
And let's not forget, it was actually Wizzy with the best time overall on Germany in our first iteration. So we know that he found the pace there without a doubt, but it was just slightly faster. By the way, we are down to the thousandths over Massa, who picked Germany more importantly. He's going to have the comfort edge on this map.
You couldn't ask for any more, could you really? Quickest time versus the player who wanted to play the track. Germany, let's see what you have for us. Massa and Wizzy, both on finalist mode. Flimsy hoping that maybe Germany summon something within him we haven't seen quite yet.
Exactly. Double finalist mode here in decider match number 2. Only one can advance between Wizzy and Massa. A win here, of course, ends the round. Which one will it be?
Those two red player names proudly displayed above the two drivers, the Brit and the German. As we go into the first jump, which let me tell you, will feel very different to every other time they've made it. Flimsy's out. He looked like he fell way behind, although he comes through. Wizzy will be just momentarily out in front. Massa's fallen behind there on the turn after the ice turnaround, and now Wizzy has the race and qualification in his hands here.
He absolutely does. Release coming into the dirt. We've seen Massa with very good lines for this section, though.
Has to be aggressive on this jump. Has to try and make the time up. Flimsy holding him off, but Wizzy opening the gap now. Wizzy lands it. Wizzy still with the lead here as we go through towards the final turn and the final couple of checkpoints. Wizzy has it in the bag, barring a mistake. A mistake from Wizzy!
But Flimsy
denies both!
Are you kidding me? Unbelievable sequence of events in the final ice turnaround. It had to be an absolute perfect storm of events to even be in this round right now, to even be on round 2 of 4 on Germany, required a very specific cocktail of events. And somehow, some way, we have seen it. It's catastrophe from Wizzy, and it's a snipe from Flimsy that then denies Massa as well. In the end, we go again.
A very specific cocktail, like you say, and I think for Wizzy and Massa, unfortunately for them in their race, it was a Molotov cocktail. Just blew them apart. It's just hard. It's so hard to watch those moments, but that's what we love about Trackmania. That's what we love about this environment, and that's what's loved about Massa having this opportunity now to take it himself. In the lead, Wizzy in behind, but the gap is enough where if Massa doesn't make mistakes, which he might have just done, Wizzy might be denied.
Wheel to wheel here in the end. Is it the opportunity for Massa back from the dead after watching what he thought would be the end of his EWC run? He leads now into the final turn.
Oh, Wizzy, I think he just clipped as well. And Massa has a clean run home. The big boys have done it. Massa and Grenadi will stay alive in this tournament after an incredible round of action.
And you could tell what it means to him, head in his hands immediately. Back from the dead, he would have been watching Wizzy and Flimsy neck and neck.
Still can't get over that.
And somehow you could tell now to see also Wizzy's point of view. Leaning on his wheel. It is a final tap in the final turnaround of Germany that changes the fate of this round in an enormous way. It will be an all big and an all German advancement here. It's Grenadi and Massa through.
I think Wizzy obviously understandably devastated right now, but when you go back and you look, he had to push. He had to take that line as close as he could because he was chasing down the pace ahead of him from Massa. But they are the margins we are talking about. Final turns, final corners, final turnarounds. Trackmania
Oh man, there it was.
Does not leave any room for mistakes at any point in these races.
And then now we're seeing some of those, how the points could have been different. Keep in mind, we were dual finalist mode and only double finalist mode simultaneously because of a lot of the mistakes you're seeing here. And a lot of the points that were even grabbed. You saw that one from Wizzy as well. And look at even Grenati, a veteran like Grenati. This is what it needs. Even though he wins that by about 40, it still means that here's the tap. Here is the tap, and Flimsy with the snipe. Unbelievable.
Absolute heartbreak for them, but a huge moment for the big boys. And Adam has them on our stage right now. Adam with Grenati and Massa.
Here we are. I'm joined by the big fellas right now as you make our way towards the Key Crusher. First up, Grenati, I'm going to ask you first to crush Flimsy's key as you make our way towards this momentous moment here. Do come forward when you're ready and take hold of the crusher for us, Grenati, first and foremost. You just stand over here for me, Massa, for a second here as we begin this tradition here at the Esports World Cup. Sadly, when you're ready there, you may crush that key, Grenati, as we say goodbye, farewell to Flimsy in this company. You can lean in and watch the key being crushed there, Grenati. There it is. The first one out of this competition. And then once you reset, do come forward, gentlemen, come forward as well, Massa. Grenati, I'll come to you first and foremost. Incredible race, unbelievable race. First things first, yesterday we saw you get into finisher mode. It didn't happen for you there and then. How do you kind of gather yourself and come back into today and ensure you go through into the final day?
I mean, already yesterday I had the level. I was leading the match. It was close, but I was leading the match, and I knew today I could do the same. The only issue is always for me the finalist mode at the end. So I was very scared, of course, for that to happen again. But luckily it worked out. The last round was insanely scary, not gonna lie. I almost saved a bit too hard, but luckily it worked out, and also first try, so I was just glad that I was done. And yeah, overall I played really good. I had like, I think, one crash throughout the entire match, which is kind of what I was aiming for. So yeah, I'm just very happy that I made it.
And looking ahead as well to the next round, Stuffed, Binks, Richie. It's going to be a very dicey contest, that one.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's the top 16 now. There's only good players left. Anyone can do good at this point. Whoever feels it the most will take it. And hopefully I can play just as well tomorrow. And hopefully finalist mode is going to be on my side as well.
Let's hope so. I need to come over across to Massa now. Massa, have you had a chance to gather yourself after that last round? That was absolutely incredible. We saw Wizzy there, one corner away from going through to tomorrow. You've gone through. How are you feeling right in this moment right now?
I don't even know, man. GG's. I'm sorry, Wizzy. Very much. I don't know, man.
I mean, this is the thing we've learned as well. All of you guys are so close as friends as well and competitors in Trackmania. But looking ahead in the contest, before we ask you to do a key crushing behind us, into the upper brackets tomorrow, you've got yourselves Gwen, Epos, and Bren in a big showdown. How do you prepare for that?
Sit down, practice, gain back confidence somehow, because honestly, I lost yesterday all my confidence. I'm playing a lot worse than I ever did. And yeah, I'll get back into it. Practice is good. For the first time, I'm really shaky in matches since yesterday. And yeah, I take it as a gift. Wizzy, I will honor you. I will really try my best tomorrow. I'm sorry, bro. And GG's.
Could we please, Paris, give a huge round of applause to Grenati and Massa there as well. Wonderful words for one of his fellow kind of racers here. We have ourselves another key to crush. It is Wizzy's. When you're ready, do make your way forward here, Massa, to the key crusher. And when you're ready, you can eliminate a player from this contest. Sadly, it is Wizzy, who fought valiantly all the way through to that very final moment in our competition there. And sadly, we lose Wizzy and Flimsy from this competition at EWC. It has to happen. We have to have one winner who will rock the totem come the last day of this contest. Massa and Grenati go through to our final day. What an incredible way, an unbelievable race here. Back to Rain Day and the rest of the gang on the desk here to break that one down. Absolutely emotional, but very special too.
Some of these moments you just can't script. The shock, the awe that went through everyone in the crowd here in the Paris Expo Porte de Versailles for that moment that Wizzy just couldn't stick the landing. And unfortunately for him, his journey will come to an end. You could tell Massa a bit aggrieved there to just see that even though he won in that fashion without the same confidence that he was coming into yesterday with, and also in what felt like could have been, I mean, it could have been perceived as a bit of a gift, a door that opened when it should have been closed in that first one where Wizzy was pushing the pace, but clearly a mistake there that, man, I can't even imagine these nights. He's going to be thinking about that a lot.
Definitely, but also Wizzy got another shot there. Flimsy took that first position when Wizzy made that mistake.
That's right.
It was still, Massa didn't look happy at all. Like, he was, also when the key got crushed, he didn't look happy. But also what I really like here is that he will play for Wizzy as well. He has that key destroyed now after that match, but it's just a great honor for that as well.
Yeah, I'm really gutted for Wizzy. I had the privilege and honor to sit between both Epos and Jadon, both his compatriots, both Englishmen, and they were, of course, rooting for Wizzy and wanting to see him succeed. But we all have the same agreement. Wizzy at finalist mode. Is he going to be able to close it out? Unfortunately, when he gets to that point, it starts getting shaky. It starts getting hard. But totally gutted for him and not being able to make it. But on the flip side, yes, Grenady, fantastic. 19 rounds is how long he took to complete it. Second fastest match time out of everybody else. Compared to Carl, of course, 18 rounds, and then Mutta slightly behind them at 20 rounds. So Grenady having a really dominant performance. And honestly, props to him, kudos to him. But as far as Massa is concerned, I understand he's grieved, but he had so many opportunities as well. It was a struggle between both of them, for sure.
It definitely was. And you could tell that, this match went a couple of different ways. The first narrative, Grenady back on pace. Second narrative, obviously, just that fight for P2. And, of course, ended with the dramatics of Wizzy. And in that situation, you just hate to see it. You know that on one side of a competition, there is that triumph. There also is that defeat and potential despair. Hopefully, he's working through it. Rachel is standing by with Wizzy for an exit interview after what was an emotional race out on the track.
Wizzy, that's going to be really tough to take right now. How are you feeling?
Well, obviously, very gutted. I mean, I knew it was going to be a close race. I played it well. Fortunately, Grenady was taking away with the tenors. So it's just going to be a fight with Massa and myself. And the kind of by Poland, obviously, with how the points work, you're looking at is going to be one round on Germany, which is, I mean, we saw it with Otak and Banks, right, with AG and Liquid, right. It's absolute cinema. But unfortunately, I'm on the losing stick this time. But hey, that's racing.
Tell me about Germany in particular. Obviously, it came down to that, like you mentioned. It looked like you made the same mistake twice just at the end. What was that due to, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in the first round, obviously, I mean, the amount of adrenaline, the amount of pressure you're under when you're on that stage is, you can't really describe it. And it's very hard to, kind of see into the future, as in, like, to spot your exit point. So it's quite a hard technique, as it is. Obviously, we all do it like it's nothing, but when you're under that pressure, it's very easy to make. And, I ended up just slightly going too much, and that was that. Like, I even knew I had a gap, but it just turns out I'm just bad at the video game. But yeah, the second round, obviously the last round, I think trying to remember what actually happens. I think that's right. Yeah. I think I knew I was behind. Massa had a good start. So I had to catch up somehow. I knew my second halves weren't that great, to be honest. So it was just a case of I had to try what I could, and I didn't think it was. I think it was over pretty much by the grass downhill. But obviously you've got to try what you can, and it didn't work out.
Commiserations today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Just so much respect for that young man. And if you don't notice and you don't feel it already watching through the screen in this room, on this stage, and even on this desk next to me, there's some emotion being felt around the process that he's going through. I know you guys feel the weight of what that means. He's holding it together. Yeah, that's still really hard to see.
In a very good way, I would say. Very analytical thinking after that. But I can tell you something, this turnaround on Germany is very hard to clear. It is not an easy task. It's such a precise input. So messing this one up is it's inevitable at some point. But Wizzy, you're not bad at this video game. You're almost among the top 16 players. You played against Massa. You showed up a great fight, but at the end, it was one round. And that's all that it takes. One round that was between you and day number 4.
And also that failure that he had on that first go. It's not a failure we haven't seen before. There have been plenty of individuals who have been in that exact same situation, making that exact same mistake. This is not a misnomer by any means.
Yeah.
Also, commiserations to Wizzy's parents. I was sitting also in a couple rows in front of them, got to see their reactions. The mom was not having it. She was stressed out as all could be. But honestly, they should be proud of their son. They should be proud of Wizzy for the job that he's done. He's done such a great job at this tournament. And he should be proud. He needs to accept that he is a good Trackmania player. And I want to see him again next year.
I mean, you could be proud. That to me is where a great story begins. Next year, looking at Wizzy coming back saying, I was this close. I should have been there. I could have been there. But didn't have it on the day for whatever reason, but certainly something to be proud of. I'm sure his parents are, and all of you at home sure have become Wizzy fans. I certainly have as well. But as we continue on, this EWC, it's special for a reason, because the great stories like that, well, there's no guarantee. Everything is earned here, nothing given. And that means Grenady and Massa will have a chance to keep fighting in Saturday. But Otak, Wosao, Linkmax, and Josh 1248 are going to be up next on the stage. There's 2 players who you look at there that might have an edge, but you look at Linkmax, the way he's been performing, his potential. You look at Josh, maybe we haven't covered